The Applied AI Podcast, where tech meets ROI.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Applied AI Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Andra. I'm also the CEO of Talbot West, an AI enablement company. Today's guest, Jason duPont, is the COO of NEXA Mortgage and is a wizard at AI, both within the mortgage industry and some interesting applications he is using AI for in his personal life as well, which he'll cover in this episode. There's plenty here for mortgage professionals to be interested as well. But additionally, anyone from any industry can adapt some of Jason's insights and the concepts we cover to their industry. So there should be something here for everyone. Enjoy. I'm here with Jason duPont of NEXA Mortgage, and NEXA is using AI in its different operations in some very interesting ways. Jason, why don't you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into the AI side of things.
No, grateful to be here. Goodness, been in this industry since '96, so a while. Been with Nexa about a little over 5 years, 5 and a quarter, something like that, ish, right? Um, it's fun to be here. It's fun to grow. It's fun to seeing others grow.
Yeah, give us a sense of NEXA, its size, its growth rate, anything else interesting about the company.
Right now, Nexa's on pace to do about 10 billion this year. We have I think we just hit 3,300 loan officers, and our goal is to get to 15 billion. So our decisions that we make, what we're going after is to hit that 15 bill mark. And that's our next threshold. That doesn't mean that's our destination. That's just along the journey, right? We're not destination
Yeah,
based, we're journey based. So
I like that. I can relate to that. And that's a nice, ambitious goal. But like you say, onward from there once you hit it, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Cool. Well, let's talk about AI in the mortgage industry. I know that NEXA has partnered with a couple of different AI companies, and also in yours and my conversation in the past, we've discussed some interesting ideas about AI and how it applies to the mortgage industry. So maybe we can just cover these partnerships, what they're doing for NEXA. Also, I'd just like to hit some of the main sorts of areas where AI can make a difference across the mortgage life cycle. There are different swim lanes and different sub, I guess you could call them sub disciplines or departments within
Yeah.
the mortgage industry where different types of AI apply in different sorts of ways. So maybe we can just kind of dive right into some of that.
Yeah, I mean, where do you guys see where do you see AI being 3 years from now? In the mortgage space, right? We're talking in the mortgage space.
Yeah, well, certainly anything involving document processing, document review, or document generation is going to be gobbled up by large language models. Copywriting is going to probably be a combination of different AI technologies collaborating together to make that. Sorry, underwriting. I think I said copywriting there.
Or
Underwriting's
copywriting either. It's going to be hard to distinguish, right? Between
yeah,
a
underwriting is going to be served by some predictive models, machine learning, and probably some large language model wrappers kind of collaborating together, and so on and so forth. I mean, I want to hear your opinion because you're more in the
Sure.
mortgage industry than I am, obviously. What do you see? What are these partnerships, and what's going on with AI in the mortgage space?
Well, I think, and the reason I wanted to start out just kind of reflecting the question a little bit is for me, and this is a big thing that leadership at Nexa believes, not just myself. And I think a lot of people in the space believe this, but we'll find out. I believe loan officers are going to become more just like influencers, and they're going to be the ones driving the traffic. So I liken it unto when I first was doing loans, back in '96. I mean, we had these manila folders. We had these little clips called ACO clips. Everything was carbon copied. We'd hand calculate our good faith estimate, or we'd hand calculate, or write out the good faith estimate, I mean, or hand calculate APR. I wonder if loan officers will even know how to calculate debt ratios in the future. Why would they? Because they'll have their assistants, their AI assistants do it for them. And I think that what you're going to do is you're going to see some people get licensed or whatever, and you'll see an influencer on TikTok that's just driving traffic to their assistants and helping them do loans. So that's
Yeah,
that's high level. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, I concur with that. I very much agree with that prediction, that future, and I see a similar thing unfolding across different knowledge work areas where humans will be more the points of influence, and also, for people who want that human connection. I mean, imagine like doctors, attorneys, imagine like family practice attorneys that, they don't really need to know the law to the same degree they did in the past. They don't need to spend a lot of time doing the work that they're currently doing because AI technologies are doing all that for them, but they are acting as sort of counselors, therapists, influencers, etc. So playing that sort of human face, human role, and I do see what you're saying that loan officers will also be doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's going to be all facets of the industry are going to change very rapidly. Look, I don't think that loan officers necessarily need to worry about their jobs, but they do need to embrace. They use the analogy of like the waves coming, right? This big tidal wave. And what are you going to do? Are you gonna let it crash on you, or are you going to surf it? Well, I want to surf it. I think that's going to be fun, and I hope others are like-minded in that. I know you are, because that's what gets you to that next level. You asked about partnerships, so I'm not deflecting on that. I just wanted to kind of get some foundation in there first. So the biggest partnership that we announced was through Beverly and Tidalwave. So Tidalwave is uh, the first one out there that we've seen, and we've met with a lot of companies that's really putting into that buzzword of agentic AI, um, and they're starting from the front end. So a lot of these companies are starting from the back. They're starting from the underwriting or the funding or the closing. They're starting from the front, from the point of sale. So they've started a point of sale system, and so Nexa is their first client in the TPO or broker space, the non-delegated correspondent, all that space, and we work with them every day. We have 30 beta testers on it, all licensed loan officers, and we're just growing with them. And then where it's going from there is it will go front to back, and it will be where the loan for the consumer the process for the consumer will be a lot easier, and the loan officers will slowly become, like we just mentioned, influencers, and we really see that piece of it. There's a lot of technology out of there, and just to segue real quick, you mentioned like different industries. So like my health, like I've done genetic tests and I do quarterly blood tests, annual tests, scans, all these different things, right? They're all in an AI system that I made, and so I can put in there and say, hey, look, this came up on my test, and it can tell me, well, you're taking this conflicts with this, so contraindications, all those things are there on a very personalized level, and even like workouts, like it can say, hey, my body type doesn't do well on maybe strict keto because of my genetics, or here's an interesting one. I have a missing gene that makes it so that I can't be around thick smoke. So I can't eat supercharged food, or I can't go to like a smoke bar or a cigar bar. And so you can learn from that. So you translate that back into the industry
Well,
that,
hold on one sec. Hold on one sec. So I want to get back to the industry, but I'm very interested in this specific like
hey, these
side
tangents
project
are
you
good,
have.
brother.
Yeah, yeah. This is cool. So is it a custom GPT, or is it something more involved or elaborate? Like how are you
I
actually
made it a little
deploying?
bit more elaborate. Yeah, I went a little deeper on it. I have some memory tied to it, some rags, just different things built in uh, to make it work. And I'm constantly adding to it. So I'm adding body scans. I've wore Whoop. I don't know if I'd be able to show this to you. I'll do it during our thing. But are you familiar with Whoop and like the Aura Ring and all those kind of things?
You know the Aura Ring. I don't know Whoop.
So they're just competitors. But I'll show you data. I don't know if you can see this though. Kind of. So
Kind
my
of.
day streak is 1,534 days. That's a lot of data, right?
Yeah.
So I always want to keep adding data because it helps me personally get to my goals. So, um, for example, I have a tangent. Here's a tangent. I have a goal that I want to lift 1,000,000 pounds of weight, so move 1,000,000 pounds of weight, not body weight, but in the gym in one session. I've been slowly working up to it. I just hit a quarter million the other day. But a lot of that's
Nice.
through data because I'm tracking what I can do. I'm tracking how long because those are brutal days, especially for someone like me. So my
Yeah.
tracking is how long is my recovery going to be? What do I do? What do I need to recover? What does my body work well with? What's going to help me from, all the different levels? So it's funny because the AI tells me all this.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And the reason I want to press into this, even though this is a kind of personal side project for you, it's very relevant to our corporate clients and audience that, the same thing you're saying can be applied to so many corporate use cases. So I'm very curious, to the extent you're willing to share. So you're collecting all this data, you have some sort of a RAG functionality. Do you mind sharing the architecture, how you've built this, how you're collecting it, how you're storing it, how you're accessing
Well,
it?
I just started with N8N and then just built it out on there by
Okay,
keeping.
so an orchestration.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's fully offline. I don't keep it all public, so it's all on my own thing. But you'd be surprised what you can really get into now. And I can upgrade it as I go. The main piece of it was being able to look at large segments of data and be able to keep adding to it and then reference back. So just like DEXA scans, like that, it can really see the differences, but it doesn't. When it was early, like maybe a year ago, it might get confused on different time frames and things like that. Those days are gone if you're building it right. So
Yeah. And so what large language model, or are you using a combination of them, or
I'm
are
using a
you
combination, and what I'll do is I'll switch according to. I don't care about the cost for me. Like obviously in a business that matters, and so you might go to not the most version because of cost, right? And
yeah.
it might not even be that much difference too. You gotta weigh all those options. But for me, like with this, I don't care. So I'll just switch to whatever is working well with the most recent releases.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Thanks for being willing to take that tangent. Let's get back onto the mortgage track. So Tidalwave, they're starting with the front end. So are we talking customer service chatbots, interfacing with customers?
Well,
What is the actual functionality you're
so think of
deploying
it.
with?
So when I say front, we're not starting with lead and we're not starting with CRM activities. What I would consider in that realm is that a lead could come from Facebook, a lead could come from a realtor, a lead could be a past client. They're all. I'm looping those together for this discussion.
Okay.
And then from there, you have to have some sort of reach out. So we have things like we're partnering with a company right now, Outbound Voice AI, um, and there's a lot of them, right? So we had to really do our due diligence and see what we wanted for that. And I will tell you right now, me on a personal note, so I'm the top recruiter over at Next. I'm also the COO, right? So with that, as soon as I took on more of those COO duties, I had less time to meet with individual loan officers for recruiting. So what I do now is I have virtual assistants that are humans that help me get my recruits to a path where maybe they've seen things or done things before I talk to them, right? Well, the way that works, and this is kind of cool. So we have a Thursday Why Nexa call that talks all about Nexa. Every Thursday, it's a Zoom. We do it on Thanksgiving. We do it all the time. I average, no, 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 hear this, average at least 10 people there every week that I've never talked to, that has never received a text message from me, at least in this kind of campaign. Maybe they have in the past, and that have not talked to a human, that get there by outbound voice AI.
Okay.
So that could be a referral. Somehow they get into my system, right? From there, they'll get to me eventually, human, right? But I want them to see about Nexa first before that because of my time. So
Yeah.
that's a huge time saver because to get them there, and that's the power of where outbound voice AI is now. So back to tidal wave. So that's not part of tidal wave, but that would be part of getting them into tidal wave system, is those kind of things. It can be humans too, whatever. It gets them there, and then the point of sale starts. Sorry, the point of sale starts at 10:03. So when someone's ready to do an application, that is where tidal wave starts with us right now. Will they change that in the future on their roadmap? Probably, but their roadmap extends the other direction before that direction.
Okay.
So our vision is to let CRMs connect to that and go that route.
Yeah. And so what exactly is Tidal Wave providing then? Can you walk me through the actual
Sure.
functionality?
So it's a full back and forth with the client. It can be text, it can be different things, but it's intuitive to help the client get there. Here would be an example. Let's say, I've done loans forever. Let's say I'm on a restaurant talking to a client. I'm on my iPhone or what, I don't use iPhone, but let's just say I'm on an iPhone. By the way, I have to convert due to our owner, Mike Cordes, but I'm going to do it. So
Hmm.
anyways, begrudgingly. But let's say at a restaurant, I'm taking a 1003. I'm taking a nap just because I've done it forever. And let's say I get 70% of it because I don't want to go over reload while I'm there or something, right? Well, I can just put that transcript in. The AI is going to dissect it all and just start conversing with the client on the remaining questions that I missed, or
That's
things that
great.
weren't there, or things that maybe opened up because of the way I asked the question or what the answers were. So,
Yeah, so it's an ingestion engine essentially, a context aware ingestion engine to get all the information needed from the customer.
yep. And I'm going to plug my Mac in just real quick. Just give me 1 second. Okay, there we go.
Worries.
Yep.
So it's ingesting a lot of necessary information from the customer, and then it's sort of forwarding that to the underwriting stage, right?
So there's a big collection process, right? So and there's pieces on their roadmap that are not complete yet, right? That's okay. We went into it knowing that. But there's everything from collection to connecting to different services. So you might connect to an Argyle or a Truve. It might pull a soft pull credit report, run run AUS. It might upgrade to a hard pull at some point because of different things. So it's a whole ecosystem on finding what loan is best for the client. Because a lot of times, or most of the time, the client's not going to know. So slowly it's replacing that decision engine on what is best for the client. Do
Okay.
I VA, FHA? Am I taking some non-QM product? What am I doing here? And you can start knowing that, but and the vision is that it's trained to where, let's say, remember, I'm in the TPO space, right? So I have different places I take loans. But let's say one lender has an overlay for something that they do and another lender doesn't, just to make it real basic. Well, the system, why waste time taking a loan to someone that has an overlay when I can bypass that? Or maybe income is calculated differently at one lender versus another. So
Yeah.
those are just kind of some high level things. Or what if two lenders, what if the same lender, two underwriters calculate it different because of subjectivity? Well, then we have
Hmm.
use cases that we can argue that the income could still be good because 7 times out of the last eight, this went through this way, and this one time it didn't. Let's talk about it, right? So now we have that all built in for that. The whole
Yeah.
vision of what we're doing, though, Jacob, the whole vision is to get that one touch close. We're very, very big on one touch closes. We're not big on, let's go back and forth 5 times on a loan. We're big on collecting everything, verifying everything, getting everything into place, and then getting that one touch close. What's that going to do for the underwriter's life? How many more loans will they be able to do as the loans come in cleaner and cleaner and cleaner?
Yeah. So you've talked about a lot of aspects of the loan life cycle, everything from lead generation, getting leads into the system, um, collecting information from the customer. There's a decision making process to route them to different lending options, obviously, as you said. Then there's underwriting. Then there's compliance. So across, let's say, underwriting, compliance, and other aspects of the loan life cycle, are there ways you guys are looking at AI implementations you're already pursuing, future roadmaps? How are you thinking about some of those areas?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, there will be less processors in this world soon. There will be less underwriters. There will be less. I don't think that, like, my vision is not that underwriters go away. My vision is that they'll be able to 10x what they're doing now. First they'll be 2x, 3x, 5x, but they'll be able to do a lot more because of AI. Same thing with processors, right? So the compliance piece will definitely be there. There will be loans that will never have compliance issues because it's caught up front by the AI, but just what's happened in the past, right? So a lot of these things, even the AI that we're working on, you're seeing where it just can't be trained by anyone or everyone. So you'll have, like, maybe a good word is like a contextualizer in place. You'll have things in place to help really stay within certain guidelines and rules, especially in that space, because it's these loans, not only are they regulated, but they need to meet in certain guidelines. They need to be profitable. They need to be done the right way. So, but that, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that it's going to, you got to also realize the loan industry, I don't know if fragmented is the right word, but there's a lot of overlay with different things. And I don't mean overlay like where a lender won't do a certain condition or they're adding something to it. I mean where redundancy almost, but not in a good way. There's just a lot of things that are done over and over and over, and we're kind of antiquated still. I think that's why AI has gone into other industries quicker than us because there's so many pieces. Plus, we're regulated, and there's a lot that has to happen for it to really get what I would call seamless. But in my vision is the loan officer will always be involved to some degree.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, and I agree with your assessment that we'll just need fewer, probably fewer loan officers, probably fewer underwriters, probably fewer processors. You know, all the different players in the ecosystem. We will still need them, just fewer of them, and they'll be doing far more volume with a lot of these technologies.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so processors and underwriters, I think we could agree that the reason there'll be less is because AI will do more of the heavy lifting. Maybe that's a good way to put it. Loan officers, on the other hand, I think there'll only be less. This is again, see if you disagree on this. There'll be less loan officers, not because AI is doing more of the heavy lifting, even though it kind of is. It'll also be, or for me, more importantly, it'll be because certain loan officers are just going to capture more market share. They're going
yeah.
to have be more
Back to
influential.
that influencer dynamic you were talking about.
Sorry, my phone. Okay.
Back to that influencer dynamic you were talking about. You know, if loan officers are more like influencers, then obviously you get this Pareto principle where 20% or, you know, some small percent capture the majority of business and everybody else is trying to pick up the rest.
And we'll see if it's full 80/20 or is it some crazy 80/20 of 80/20, right? What will it really be? That's exciting. And we'll
Yeah.
see who captures it. Those that don't embrace though, they're just going to feed everyone else.
Yeah. One of the things I like to educate the audience of this podcast on, and you know, as CEO of Talbot West, working with companies on AI adoption, I'm always educating clients on is the different types of AI and machine learning technologies. That you know, AI is not just ChatGPT. AI is not just large
Oh,
language models. Obviously, within the mortgage industry, there are many different use cases for many different types of AI and machine learning. You wouldn't probably use a large language model to do like pattern recognition matching, fraud detection, right? That would be some kind of sophisticated machine learning algorithm or model, right? And so maybe just talk a little bit about how you see different types of AI and machine learning technologies applied across the different aspects of the mortgage life cycle.
look, there's companies out there right now that are saying they're AI and they have AI, but they're still backing it up with humans, right? Not Tidalwave, by
Yeah.
the way, but I'm just saying those are out there, and it's because they're trying to catch up. So as AI comes into play, that will happen less and less, and those things will happen less and less. But there are so many instances of where it look, you have loan officers that are probably using more what you're talking about, like the large language models or maybe custom GPTs, or maybe even a couple things beyond that where they're building some sort of like an N8N to N or make.com or some of these other things they'll use. And there's so many out there now. I mean, they're coming up every single day, right? Um, but I think the ones that are doing it, they're truly kind of pulling back. Like Tidalwave is pulling back, and Nexa, myself, Mike Cordes, a few others, we work very, very fast. The 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 broker, the TPO channel, the non-delegated, all that is a lot faster than the IMB space. Wrong or right, it's just how it is. They're a lot more corporate. We're a lot more people will use words like janky or the right. We're all these words will come out. Tidal wave is kind of in between. They want to move very fast, but they're going to do it right. They have a very standardized release schedule. They're making sure that everything's in play. I love it, but I still want them to go faster. But I love it because they are doing it the right way. But they're not of the mindset that we need to take 6 months to get this one new thing out. And Jacob, you and I both know that AI is moving so fast that it is hard to keep up. I mean,
Absolutely.
tell me if I'm wrong on that, because it is hard for me to keep up, and I'm in it every single day.
No, it's a very dynamic space. Absolutely.
Yeah, which makes it exciting.
I love it. Yeah. So is Tidalwave largely based on large language models? Does it have some other types of
No,
machine learning?
yeah, they're pulling it all back. I mean, look, will they reference them or will they got of course, right? But they're pulling it all back. They're controlling the entire thing,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
and they
I
have
can
to
imagine.
put those guardrails up.
Yeah, I can imagine that for the customer information intake portion, that's very well suited to a large language model, right?
Yeah, I think that could be, but you start getting into dynamics real quick. I mean, think about like you're going to need some sort of OCR technology to start dealing with documents. You're going to need to categorize properly. You're going to need to be able to index along the way. Um, so there's a lot that goes into it. I think to really build like something that like that homegrown would be difficult. I think there's other pieces that you could build homegrown. Like I'll give you an example. I think a loan officer could build a whole marketing thing fully done for them. And I think they could use things like 11 Labs and Agent, all these different things where they get their avatar out there. They do that, and I think they could build it where you maybe tied it to WhatsApp or Telegram or something, and you said, "Hey, I want to make a video on this and use my ethos," and it all had a capsulate, and you could write it all out. You could probably tie it in like a Claude or something like that, or whatever the model is for copywriting at the time.
Sure.
Um, that I think pretty much anyone could do or pay someone to do as long as they maybe had some technical skill or were young enough where it's just part of who they are, right? I think if we ask the kids just coming out of college, I think, or just graduating high school, I think that some of this is just kind of second nature.
Yeah. Are you keeping up much with the kind of trend of neurosymbolic AI? That's an interesting one I'm keeping my eye on, and I think there's a lot of applicability to the mortgage industry there.
I think so. Probably not to the level you are. I'll just back real quick and then let's come back to that. So, where I'm a big fan of, and look, people AI is such a buzzword right now. It means so many different things. And so I oftentimes have to really say, okay, what do you mean by that? Because again, it's just such a buzzword. I don't even know another way to say it. So agentic AI is another buzzword, right? And it's becoming more and more popular, and it probably has for a couple months now. But what I'm a big visionary of is just from my old marketing days, because I used to own a lead company that for many, many years. Um, is workflows, right? I think that that's very common to say a lead comes in, a text goes out now, 2 minutes later this happens, 5 minutes later this happens, 10 minutes later this happens. And I think AI was initially, well, not along the way, was built the same way, where AI ran off workflows, and but AI could make write the copy or research things. Then you added some memory to it, and now it can reference things and say, okay, well this person likes basketball, so I'm going to talk about the home team in their state or whatever, right? But just to define it, because again, people use different words. What I think is cool, and I think it's very, very close, especially when you put a bunch of agents in a hierarchy where they're controlling each other or working with each other, talking to each other, is where you say, here's your task. The goal is this, go get it done. That's not workflow based anymore, right? Is that agentic? By some definitions, yes, by others, no, right? But and I know that's not what you're talking about, but I just want to circle on that real quick because that is an AI that fascinates me is let's build these agents that work together. And so I have test agents that I've even built, and I'm just nerdy enough to be able to do this stuff, right? And I have agents now that are building other agents without me telling them to, right? So I have like some crypto stuff and things that I do where they build other agents to achieve the goal that I've set. So anyways, but let me go back and we can come back to that later if you want to, but let's go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, and I would love to revisit that because that's another. I love some of the things you're exploring on the side in your personal life. But yeah, neurosymbolic. I mean, that essentially, from what I can gather, and some of the stuff that we're doing at Talbot West, just means you are grounding a large language model or maybe an ensemble of large language models. More in reality, you can use something like a knowledge graph or some other ontology that essentially gives it a set of guardrails and a grounded source of truth. And so in the mortgage industry, I could see that would be especially relevant because you don't want it going rogue. You don't want it fabricating stuff. You want it to stay very within specific boundaries and guidelines. And so kind of giving it a layer of ontological reality and do's and don'ts, and then pairing that with a large language model for that natural language interface seems like it could be very useful. And that's probably what Tidalwave is doing. I hope that's what they're doing. It seems like that would be a really good idea for them to do. I'd love to explore
Can,
further kind of what
can
they're actually doing.
you, with that model, how do you choose which LLM you're using?
Well, I mean, really, you could build any pairing or we're big on kind of this open, interoperable, flexible sort of ensemble architecture where you might use a variety of different large language models, and they're all referencing the same knowledge graph. If needed, you could have different ontologies, different knowledge graphs that different large language models are querying about different aspects of the kind of reality they're supposed to be operating within. There are a lot of ways you can structure it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I saw one company non-mortgage related that just kind of tied it. I think they built it too much to just one. Like let's just say it was ChatGPT, for example, like built it too much. But I think like what you're talking about, I like where you can vary it according to you're just not tied to one thing because things change so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Interoperability, I think, and agility that way is really important. Let's get to that crypto and other use cases where you're building these agents. I want to drill down into that because it's so fascinating and it's the sort of
Yeah.
thing where so many organizations could get so much value from doing that. So I'm assuming these agents are large language model based. Let me know if that's true or not. And then the second thing is, what platform are you building them on to deploy agents that can create other agents, et cetera? How is that being orchestrated?
Yeah, I'll get you a list because I toy with a lot of things. I mean, there's crew, there's so many different things, and I don't want to give away my secret for my main one, um, just because but I'll tell you offline on that. But uh, they are mainly LLM based, but I do find I'll just say in most cases, right? The high level of it is, in my vision, is that you're gonna see you're gonna see people on that solopreneur list, right? The first one to 1 billion. I'm not on that list. I'm not going after that. Um, that's not the play that I want. But I love that people are doing it, and it's going to happen. And what I see is as they build their own CEO agent, and then they have their hierarchy for their different things. And I see it a lot. Where the most I see it in is marketing right now, like marketing agencies. I see that they have this person's over, it's calling it a person, right? This agent's over design. This agent's over ads. This agent's over organic social. This agent's over, right? Email. So, but they work together to accomplish the main goal. And you'll see even where the CEO has this is kind of, and I had to build this for the crypto, where the CEO has a like an auditor, but it's not the CEO, it's someone that they rely on. So that when the reporting back happens, the auditor can say, "Does this make sense? Um, is this what I want?" And I don't want to say it prevents hallucinations because I don't really even like that word because I think you can get around that. But it does keep everything tight, would be a good way to say it.
Yeah, yeah. At Talbot West, we've kind of pioneered this approach. We call it cognitive hive AI, but it's essentially an
Yeah.
ensemble approach where you can have one, call it an agent, call it a whatever you want to call it. Agent is the current buzzword. One module. This job is to audit or critique or hold another one accountable. you can set it up in a lot of different ways, and what you've described is a prime use case of that. And then you can expand obviously beyond large language models to kind of bypass their inherent weaknesses, but still take advantage of their strengths by pairing them with other types of machine learning, or more. I guess you could say more deterministic type models, or ground them in reality with different ontologies, that neurosymbolic approach. There's a lot of ways you can take it. But I think for a kind of a DIY person who wants to get pretty into the tech and use some of these platforms you're using, that doing it with a set of large language models initially is a great way to get your feet wet with that.
For sure. And look, if someone wants to do it themselves, there are so many YouTube videos, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole, because you're going to find out these new platforms that come out, all the no code stuff, all the light code stuff. That's my word, by the way. But all those kind of things that are out there to do this on. And if you're not doing it like on an enterprise level, it can be done very cost effective. If someone's doing some of the things that I'm talking about with like a whole hierarchy and a C and all that, and you were doing enterprise, there would be some cost to it. There would be,
Yeah.
because of everything that goes into it, right? Um, but you can do it the other way. I'll give you another thing on that. So we talked about that I kind of have a set it and forget it recruiting thing that I haven't even looked at for months, right? But it just happens. And then I have 4 virtual assistants that help me full time, that are humans, right? They're human. They're amazing. With that, on the outbound voice AI that helps bring people to the Thursday Zoom call, those calls are recorded, and those calls are looked at by another agent to determine how the call went. The prompting for future calls is then modified based on the execution. So it's constantly making itself better.
Yeah. So that kind of recursive feedback loop, we call reinforcement learning, obviously. And so that's cool. You've built that
Now,
into your
now
process.
I've oversimplified that. There's probably like 6 things in there that have to work
Mhm.
together to do that.
Yeah.
But essentially that's what it does. And that's and what I've been working on, it's funny because that was built first for my AI stuff. And I know there's services out there that do this for humans, but the next thing is we do it for my 4 virtual assistants too.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
anything else you want to say about the mortgage industry, the future of
I
it?
just
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
let's have you tell that one anecdote about the one touch close. You're getting closer and closer, and you were telling me when we had our kind of intro conversation that you had achieved an important milestone. Let's hear about that really fast.
which one was that? What you mean the one that I personally did before we did AI, or
Uh, no, I think it was
district?
involving AI. I don't remember the details, but it was like you had achieved a very like truncated close. It was really impressive.
No, I mean we've done so much. I'm not sure which one it was. I know I will tell you this. So uh, there's no AI involved in this. And so this is the vision, is that I have received with my team, um, and I won't play any guessing games, a 54-minute from submission to clear to close. Okay, so what that
That
means
was
is
it. That's the one I was referring to.
from the time that it's submitted to the lender to the time that it was clear to close was 54 minutes. Not conditional loan approval, but actual clear to close. So the next step is go there. Now, on that, we had to wait out TRID days. There's certain things we had to do because of the way the rules work. So because of that, because we can do that humans, our vision backwards is how do we do that with AI, right? And so every single loan that goes through, we're looking at everything. We're looking at the conditional loan approvals. We're looking at everything. Why is that there? Why is that still there? How do we solve that? And that's what helps us get there quicker and quicker and quicker. And so as we partner with different companies, as we do different things, those are the solutions we're working for and or looking for, I'm sorry. And it's interesting because as we do this, we have so many companies hit us up. Can we partner with you? Can we partner with you? And every now and then we'll find one, that makes sense that would fill in that gap. Because Tidalwave has a goal, and we love Tidalwave. it's not just like a contractual partnership. There's actually we like them. I mean, it's really cool that they're amazing partners. Diane, who leads the thing over there, amazing individual, amazing, right? But along the way, we have to get to this clear to close. So when we have other companies hit us up, we're like, okay, would that fit in temporarily? And then how do we deal with that? And is this long term? Is this short term? But to back it up, that is the goal. Is how do we get that on scale? And it's all about scale.
Yeah, that's great. And, I'd love an intro to Diane. It sounds like a really great company.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's amazing, and she's done a lot of cool things in her life, and she's formed an amazing team, and I think that's a big piece of it is those that you surround yourself with make a huge difference in your life. And from a work perspective, she's surrounded herself with some amazing, amazing people.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's been a great conversation. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate you, Jacob. Let me know if you need anything else.
All right.